It's snow apocalypse. I'm sorry. Hi. Mike Gagello here. Howdy, folks. Happy Thursday.
You got a purple color on the map. I've never seen that before.
Well, all I can say is, and this is normal for any place when bad weather is projected. I had to go out and do a couple things, pick up some things for my mother, and do some general shopping. It is friggin' lunacy out there. It's like everybody, the parking lots at the local supermarkets are double what normally.
But they're talking about 70 inches, Mike.
Oh, I know, but okay, it's just the reaction is just like out of control.
People want to have their, and you can fill in the blank. I gotta have my Cheez-Its. I gotta have my, whatever. So that's why they're out there.
Yeah. So, it is supposed to hit starting tonight. It's supposed to last. The winter storm warning is supposed to last through Saturday. They're talking, like you said, 3 to 6 feet. And there is some talk of them moving the Bills game.
Yeah, who are they playing?
They're playing Cleveland. They're talking about moving it to a neutral site, which would be Detroit, because Detroit is playing the Giants, which would make sense because the Bills but the Bills play Detroit on Thanksgiving.
So they wouldn't have to leave the city.
They wouldn't have to leave. They'd have to basically stay in a hotel for 3 days.
And their field doesn't get messed up either because it's turf. That's good.
Right, exactly. So that might be now. They say the storm is going to be over with by Saturday and that the weather will be clear on Sunday. But I think the problem is they don't know whether the roads will be clear. They don't know if Cleveland will be able to get into town.
Getting the seats cleared. It could be a lot.
Right. Now that was the whole thing with the game that ended up being moved. They played the Jets. I think it was in 2014, and it got moved to Detroit because they couldn't dig out the seats. It was at the there was like 4-foot snow drift. So anyway, we'll see what happens there.
Might be the first time Detroit gets fans this year.
Yeah, but the problem is nobody will go to this game because it's not the Lions. So
no, I mean some might.
We'll get like 6,000 people.
I mean, Buffalo's an attraction. I mean, some might.
All right, let's start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
So let's talk about the latest baseball news. It was interesting. Regarding the Mets and the Yankees and Aaron Judge. So both organizations clearly were dumb about this because basically what sounds like happened, and it was reported on SNY of all places, which again, dumb, is the fact that the Mets basically told the Yankees, hey, we're not going to, bid on Aaron Judge. You're in the clear. But apparently it was written in an article through sources. And now, of course, that is a collusionary thing because, the PA doesn't want to hear that because that could keep the salary down for the Yankees. So I know a lot of people think, it's not going to be anything, whatever. But it's the Mets and the Yankees, so it could be.
I see. The thing was, and we had heard this going back to during the season that Stephen Cohen had communicated to the Yankees that he was not going to go in on Judge.
Right, but nobody believed him at the time, which is fair.
Right. But the funny thing was, we mentioned it in our baseball show, and now it's sort of come to fruition that was the case. So, I don't, okay, yes, it's collusion if he's saying I'm not in on it, but it's not like the other teams are, not like San Francisco's not going to be on it, not like the Dodgers aren't going to be on it, not like the Red Sox who will try to drive up the price like they did.
No, but the Mets have the most money, so I guess that's where the PA has the problem.
Yeah, I get it, but I honestly, I think there's more of a likelihood of them not re-signing DeGrom and going after somebody like Verlander than there is going after Judge. There just isn't a need there for a Judge. So
there isn't, but sometimes owners just want to make a splash. The Mets do have room in the outfield that it would be a nice addition. But I'm with you on that. Here's another thing. This disappointed me because I thought maybe the Mets would go after him, but I was very surprised Jock Peterson took the qualifying offer, one of only 2 players to take the qualifying offer of $19.5 million with the Giants. Again, came off a really good year. I don't think he'll ever be a 36 homer guy again, but I think they've found that if you get him about 400 at bats, he's going to hit between 20, 25 homers, driving 70 runs, play great in the outfield. He has a good arm, and I think they got a bargain.
You're talking about the deal between the Mariners and the Blue Jays?
No, Jock Peterson signing the qualifying offer with the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I've sort of been like lukewarm on him. He's hopped around a couple places. Yeah, he's got the tools. I just don't know if he's really worth kind of any kind of big money. I mean, like I was referring to the Teoscar Hernandez trade. Seattle made a deal, and they really didn't give up a lot. I mean, they gave a reliever in the bullpen and another player for an all-star outfielder. Now, he's only got a year left in his contract. But the problem with Seattle last year was offense. They didn't have enough. They had Julio Rodriguez. They had a couple other guys. They really didn't have anybody to surround Rodriguez with, and Teoscar Hernandez is a really good bat. There's talk about them maybe going after Ohtani if he's a free agent next year, if he doesn't get traded before then by the Angels. So I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of maneuvers out there. I'm going to write something for Full Press about the fact that Rizzo re-signed with the Yankees, and that's sort of an preliminary indicator of them going and getting Judge back. They're going to pay Judge. I don't think that there's now if he doesn't want to re-sign there, then there's nothing they can do. But I think they're going to pay him 40. I think it's going to be a $40 million a year deal times 8 years, maybe 9. But I think the Yankees, if they're paying that kind of money, that they'll want to keep it at 8. He's 30, going on 31, I believe, and more than likely in the life of that contract, he's going to end up probably transitioning from right field to first base. And, I mean, he's a big guy. So, and he's, he could make that transition. I'm
going to give you a quiz.
Yeah.
Who has more lifetime home runs, Jock Peterson or Rhys Hoskins?
Peterson.
Peterson does. He's played one more year.
You got to say this when Kevin's on the show.
Rhys Hoskins in 6 years has 148, and Peterson in 7 years has 171.
You got to remember, Russ has got a fixation on Rhys.
No, but you have to admit, if I didn't say Rhys Hoskins and just said another player, you would. If I didn't have this thing with Rhys Hoskins going on where we had this joke, you would have said Rhys Hoskins. You would have.
Right.
Okay, that's how good a homer hitter Peterson is, just to be, fair.
Yeah. All right, let's start the show. Eck will be joining us any minute. Hello, Hockey Roll. Today is Thursday, November 17th, 2022.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Michael Lagello, and this is the HockeyBuzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. Just want to start with this, and then we'll get into some of the games last night. We've heard about the Ottawa Senators being up for sale. Mm-hmm. And of course, the whole thing with Ryan Reynolds, I think that was, I think that's a good attention getting maneuver in terms of like promoting the fact that the team's for sale. But even he said on one of the shows that he was on that he would have to get basically a mega $1 billion group together to, he doesn't have personally the assets to be able to buy it by himself. But Bruce Garriock and the Ottawa Sun reported just a few minutes ago that there is a group headed by 2 OHL owners to buy the Senators, and one of them is Michael Anlauer, who owns the Hamilton Bulldogs of the OHL. The other one is Rocco Trillo, who owns the Oshawa Generals. Now, I was at a media event with the 32 Thoughts tour I think it was late September, and Anlauer was there. And he's a 10% owner of the Montreal Canadiens, so he's well known by the NHL. Let's just say this sounds more possible than the Ryan Reynolds group, unless Reynolds.
I gotta tell you though, Ryan Reynolds just did a commercial for Mint Mobile, and it looked like In the Air Tonight. It had the same lighting on his face, like in the dark with like a flashlight on you. So it didn't use the song, but it was just funny that I had seen that. Look, I mean, he could possibly get some guys together.
Yeah, no.
Somebody's going to do it, though. I think that's the point. Is this team will be sold? I think before next season.
Yeah, I think it'll happen sometime during this year. and probably for the amount that the NHL wants. Remember, in terms of like franchise value, they have a certain line.
Right.
And Ottawa, selling Ottawa. I mean, it's in a small market in Canada, but it is the nation's capital. So there would be some political resistance in them moving that franchise someplace else. I don't know if there would be a lot of resistance if it was moved to Quebec, but it just doesn't seem that right now the Quebec thing is on the front burner. It's almost like Winnipeg, where they're the disaster backup in case something happens. Like if Arizona falls through, then they'll probably have to move somebody to the west and move Arizona to the east into Quebec. I mean, that probably is their disaster scenario. But we'll see. But anyway, let's talk about some of the games last night. And coincidentally, let's start with the Ottawa Senators playing the Buffalo Sabres. And gee, folks, as I said a while back, because I was very like, okay, there's a lot of talent here with the Sabres. There's a lot of, I like Dahlin. I think Owen Power is going to be great. They've got some good young forwards, but the goaltending was a question, and the defensive depth was a question. They had injuries on the blue line that started this. Now I just heard, I think it was Shayna Goldman, I think that's who was on Jeff Merrick's show and was talking about the expected saves of the Sabres let's just say they're expecting them to save more and they're not making the saves. Right. So that's killing them. And now last night, Erik Karlsson gets hurt in a collision with Matthew Joseph, and Don Granato came out after the game and says he's going to be out for a while. So a little bit, excuse me, that was the quote, a little bit. So that means Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen gets called up from Rochester.
He's not playing great.
And he's not playing great. So, but this is 7 games in a row lost by the Sabres. A couple weeks ago, the Bills had beat Kansas City, and the Sabres were 7-3, and now the Sabres have lost 7 games in a row. And the Bills, we know it's happened with the Bills. So not only is it snowpocalypse in Buffalo, both teams in Buffalo are struggling, and the Sabres have lost 7 in a row.
The Sabres have a losing record at home too, which is never good.
Is it snowing there, Mike?
Not yet. It's supposed to start tonight.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, it's supposed to start in feet tonight.
So you want him to be snowed in with the 70 inches of snow?
Why not? I think that,
Yeah, because it's not you.
No, but there's something fun. I mean, maybe.
No, there's nothing fun about it.
Maybe did the pandemic kill the concept of this?
I will say this: it is fun for me to know that Mike is snowed in. Yes.
Yeah.
Beyond that, that's it.
I'm like that picture of Jack Nicholson in The Shining, like dead in the snowdrift with the icicles hanging off his.
I don't want to deal with that, so I'm not going to wish that on anybody.
Yeah,
that's a good point. It's a good point. I mean. I don't know. I wondered if if like the pandemic killed the concept of a snow day,
No, I don't think it did.
Because when you have kids, it's different. Like snow days are really fun with kids. Like they are really exciting. Like the concept that the kids are off from school, that everybody's stuck in. It's different.
Already have stocked up on Tang.
You got your Tang. Tang's excellent.
I will give a warning out there. I will tell you what's actually in short supply now. Is cranberry sauce. Cranberry sauce is in short supply, to the point where I went to Trader Joe the other day, and I went because my wife really likes their jarred, not the can.
Yeah, the Trader Joe's got good stuff, yeah.
And it was gone, and she said it's been gone for a while, and it may not be coming back in time for the holiday. Wow. And so I went online because Amazon sells Trader Joe stuff, and it's selling for $14 a bottle, and there's only 5 bottles left. Like, this is like crazy.
Jeez,
cranberry juice or cranberry sauce?
Cranberry sauce.
Okay, for Thanksgiving.
You can't get any cranberry sauce. You can't get any Adderall.
Yeah.
But
there's some things that are definitely in shortage out there.
And I just found out that there is a nationwide shortage on children's Tylenol. So
really,
yeah. I mean, you go to any supermarket and you look in the Tylenol section and it's completely empty.
Yeah, there's a general shortage of cold medicines. I've noticed that. Like in my I went to get like NyQuil the other day or something like that. And yeah, just it's completely gone. Anyone can guess this jersey out there? Anyone guess this jersey in the chat room?
We've worn this before.
Yeah,
I know, but they might not remember. And it's also this should be one of the throwback jerseys. This should become a throwback jersey in the NHL. Like I started my Sharks thing.
I wouldn't be against it.
I think this is a cool throwback. It's not really like it's a little different, but it's a little.
The hat's great. I love the hat. The
hat's great too. Yeah, I like this jersey a lot. I always like this logo. I think it's kind of silly, but just something about it. Anyway, yes, this is the Jersey. This is the Jersey Devils Northern.
I think because it almost looks more like a music note than a puck. I think that's why you like it.
Yeah, it's a J and a D. But this is not the Jersey Devils that we know and love.
Okay, so you like this, but you hate the Vancouver Canucks jersey with the rink and the stick and the puck. I think that's a great jersey.
Just to answer Randy, he says he'll send me a bottle of cranberry sauce for $14, but it's going to cost him $10 to send it from Canada.
Yeah, keep it. Right. Cranberry. Honestly, cranberry sauce sucks. I don't like it on my turkey. If you can have my quota, it's not.
Yeah, I mean anybody can have my quota too. I don't use it, but it doesn't suck.
Cranberry sauce is the kind. This is the thing about cranberry sauce. It tastes good if it's mixed in with everything.
Right.
Like, you just can't have the cranberry sauce alone. But if you mix it with the stuffing and the sauce and gravy.
Here is where I am completely anal, and I don't care. This is the way I despise mixing up. I see people in my family who mix up the corn and the mashed potatoes and the gravy poured all over the plate.
Yeah.
It makes me physically ill to watch that.
This is not at all surprising, Mike.
I have
based on the psychology of you, it's not at all surprising that
I have the gravy poured in a little cup and I dunk turkey into the cup and there's no gravy.
You're dipping turkey in gravy?
I dip it with the fork. I cut the piece of turkey.
Don't be an animal. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you do that with a drumstick?
I don't eat a drumstick. I don't like dark meat. The drumstick is dark meat.
A lot of people don't mix their food. My wife doesn't mix her food either. I know, so I've got.
She's incredibly intelligent.
My wife has some scary similarities to you, Mike, in a lot of ways. I have to say that I've noticed this before. I
want to say this because I know it's true. Even though Mike, for whatever reason, despises condiments and things like ketchup, you know that as a kid he ate a hot dog with ketchup. There's
never.
There's no question that was given to him at one point.
Never. I've never eaten a French. I tried.
No, you might have been 3 years old when it happened.
Okay, when I had free will, Russ, I chose not to. I don't know. I'd have to ask my mother. And if my mother did give me ketchup, then I'm cutting her off.
I'm sure she did. I guarantee it.
Everybody in Pennsylvania, all my friends in Pennsylvania, they grew up in New Jersey where their parents were way more careful about this kind of stuff than Pennsylvania where they'll feed you Scrapple and anything you want. Yeah, but in Pennsylvania, there's no problem having hot dogs. We when I was a kid, we had hot dogs for a while, and then they realized, we shouldn't have hot dogs after a while.
Right.
But, they didn't. I mean, I loved hot dogs as a kid, like spaghetti with mini hot dogs. Come on, that was a good thing. You ever had that?
I've had that. No, I've had that as a kid.
That was good. Mini hot dogs, like pigs in a blanket. Those are good.
Oh, those are always good.
In an Italian household, if you had SpaghettiOs or anything Chef Boyardee, you basically should be shot. We never
saying, listen, you come home from school, you got a half hour to eat lunch or something, you got to go back to school. There's no way your mother's breaking out a full regular pasta meal.
No, but I wouldn't be eating that. I never had SpaghettiOs or Chef Boyardee.
Well, I would have had a mascarpone grilled cheese sandwich or something.
No, macaroni and cheese.
A bunch of weird family traditions with food, but one of them is the Super Bowl and SpaghettiOs, which is this weird thing. So I get a crock pot. I fill it with SpaghettiOs. I'll get five cans of SpaghettiOs, and then I'll put in it other really good spaghetti sauces, like some of the nicer spaghetti sauces.
Take away the sweetness of the spaghetti.
It takes away a little Chef Boyardee, but it's still in there. But it's you mix it with you mix it, and then you just put it in a crock pot and let it cook the entire day. And then by the time the Super Bowl comes up, your mouth is watering for spaghetti.
I mean, I guess at that point the SpaghettiOs can't get any mushier. So
yeah, right. It's not, and it's like that. And that's another one of my traditions is Sunday. I do make spaghetti sauce. I actually do make spaghetti.
Oh, sauce. I do too, but it's good.
And I do it all day.
This sauce might be good, Mike. Don't.
Oh no,
Mine's good.
I wasn't throwing that in.
I combine 3 special.
I'm talking about like
jars of sauce. It's not like I'm making it from scratch, Mike, but I do have 3 sauces. 3. I'll never share my secret of which 3 jars of sauce I put in there. I put in the 3 different sauces.
That's not making sauce.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. That's heating up already pre-made sauce.
It's a combination, Mike.
No,
it's the combination.
No. I make sauce with tomato puree and tomato paste and onions and garlic and basil. I make my own sauce. That's friggin' cheating.
I know, but there's nothing like it cooking all day in a crock pot. You gotta you put it in there. It's just like it's a beautiful thing.
Let's talk about the Sabres because
let's get into hockey. Streaking teams. Streaking teams is the method, is the theme for.
Yeah, well, this is a skid in this all the sense because 7 games in a row.
Did you do the greetings or?
Yes.
You did the hello. This is.
Yeah. We did the
November 17th, 2022.
Don't worry, you're off the date. You're off for the day.
Anyway, I feel weird now, but the show's gonna be messed up for me. All right, we got it. But I got habits.
So the Sabres have lost 7 games in a row.
Yeah.
Erik Karlsson gets hurt last night. There's speculation they're going to call up Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who's not playing very well in Rochester. This is not going very well right now. And when they were 7-3 and everything looked good, I was skeptical about a few things, and now it's really seeming to catch up with them.
Yeah, no, they we've talked about many times before, but like the young team that's going to be good thing. This is the Devils from the last couple of years. This is like, this was the Avalanche a few years back of a team that's like, that can win 10 in a row and lose 7 in a row, like back and forth. That is the sign to me of what is going to be a good team. But they're not there yet. And that this is why we have to realize, the Sabres are not there yet. And they have it all. They're just they're getting trounced right now, and it's a really weird league in that way. Like there are some teams that are streaking, like obviously the Devils are streaking like crazy, but there's teams, and what's interesting is I wrote yesterday about this is the bottom 4 teams in the Western Conference are all playing better than the top 4 teams in each division. With the exception of like the Vegas Golden Knights, who are like kind of in their own world. The bottom 4 teams are playing better than the top 4 teams of the last like 8 or so games. So it's like that gap in the Western Conference is starting to shrink.
I could see that. The only thing that's bad here for the Sabres is with Craig Anderson being as old as he is, 41, he's only played in 7 games.
Yeah.
Pekka Luukkonen has not been playing great in Rochester, so now you're bringing him up, and he's going to have to play more than the average backup goalie because Anderson doesn't play as much as a normal starting goalie.
But no worries, Buffalo fans, because the magic elixir is coming on Saturday because the Sabres play in Toronto against the Leafs, which is a guaranteed victory because that's all they do is no matter how good or how bad they are, they will always beat the Leafs.
Someday, Mike, that streak will be broken. You know it, and I know it. It's not going to go forever.
Well, so my son, who is going to be eventually going to be like like in the world of animals and stuff like that, he studies all kinds of animals. He was watching the Sabres the other night, and there was a play made by Pekka Luukkonen.
Nope.
No. This is earlier, and this is not this. Was it earlier this season or last season?
He hasn't been up yet.
Okay, so it was last season, I guess, when he was up, right? He played last year, right? Yeah. I remember we watched the game.
He had 60 games last year, yeah.
And so all I remember is my time thing is a little messed up these days, but I remember the announcer saying the sliding Pekka Luukkonen, and he said that sounds very much like a sea creature, like the sliding Pekka Luukkonen approaches the mollusk.
It just rolls off the tongue. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, like Jukka-Pekka Seppo, one of my favorite names of all time.
Pekka Radicalio. No.
Jukka-Pekka Seppo was like supposed to be a superstar. Remember him? He didn't come over. He never really played in the NHL, but he was like going to be like the next Gretzky. He was like this Finnish wonder back when about the same time that Saku Koivu was coming up. Jukka-Pekka Seppo. Yeah, check him out. Like, that's a good name. That was my favorite name.
That one I don't remember, but
he never played in the NHL. So I mean, you have teams right now streaking in, and you have some of the lesser teams in the West playing better all of a sudden. They're starting to pick it up, and then you have what I wrote about today, which is trade rumors a little bit. So we have a little bit of rumors for you guys, and this, of course, for a while now, the Senators are obviously talking to everybody. They are trying to make a deal again. This is a team that wants to just keep the excitement going, basically.
I mean, to the point that Pierre Dorian at the GM's meeting in Toronto just came out and said, yes, we're looking around.
Yeah, which is really which I very much appreciate. Thank you, Dorian. You know, he actually like helped my job a lot and made me feel a lot better about myself.
But one caveat there.
Yes.
Because he came out and said, yes, I'm looking, I'm talking to 29, 30 other general managers. And then I think the same day or the day following, he said, yeah, but we're going to look at Jake Sanderson and Jacob Bernard Docker. He's not like putting it out there that, yes, we have to absolutely make a deal. Right. I mean, it's getting to the point now where their record, I think they're 6-9-1 after they beat the Sabres yesterday, that, you know, as we've talked about, if you're behind early in the season, it's almost impossible to catch up. They're without Josh Norris. They're without Chabot for a while. They just got both of their goaltenders back. They may have dug themselves a hole that they can't, you know, I mean, it's not impossible to catch up, but it's tough. And they're not going to overpay. You know, you referenced the Chychrun thing. I'm sure they're in on Chychrun because they've been connected to Chychrun for a while. But they're going to have to pay what Arizona sort of wants them to pay, and they've been resistant to include Shane Pinto or one of these other guys in the deal. And they're going to either have to do that or they're not going to.
Bernard Docker is why he's saying it could get included because there is a lot of potential there. But Sanderson had like 2 assists the other night. We know
they're not trading Sanderson.
No, but he's not saying he's saying he's looking at him. But like, let's be real, he's playing up the whole year. There's no way Sanderson's getting sent down. So that's fine. Look, honestly, this is the only way Pierre Dorian can play it because 99% he's going to get fired when a new ownership group comes in.
Yeah.
Not because of the job he's done or hasn't done, just because they'll bring in someone else they want. So Dorian's best bet here is to buy as many players as he can, sign as many good contracts as he can. If he can somehow make the playoffs, that helps him for his next job. That's what he's probably looking at.
I mean, if the group that we talked about at the top of the show buys the team, I have a really strong suspicion of who would be the next GM. It'd probably be Steve Staios, who's the GM in Hamilton,
right?
Because you know he's been tied to the Bulldogs and Andlauer for a long time.
And so he probably makes good pasta too.
It probably does.
He's an Italian, Mike.
I wouldn't doubt.
Staios, I think he's Greek.
I thought he was Italian. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, but anyway. So, I mean, I in terms of the Senators, I mean, we know that they're looking for a defenseman.
Yeah.
We know they're looking for a top 4 defenseman. Because
you can't get, like, for the most part. I mean,
you can, but you're gonna have to pay through the nose, and that's what I'm saying. They can get Chychrun. They're just gonna have to give up a Ridley Grieg or a Pinto or somebody like that. They're not going to be able to get him by giving them like a Lassie Thompson or somebody like that. It was a good prospect, but they're going to have to give him a grade A prospect as part of that deal. And otherwise, I'm sure other teams will.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think so it's going to. I mean, they're not the only team though in on Chychrun, and now the word that Toronto's in on Chychrun is pretty prevalent out there.
Yeah, okay. I'm not doubting your source, Ak, but we had on off the post. We had in the last 2 weeks we've had Chris Johnston from TSN and we've had Jeff Merrick from Sportsnet, and both were asked about Chychrun and the defensive market, and in both instances. They said Chris specifically said Toronto is not in on Chychrun. Now they might be because after the news on Muzzin.
Yeah, Muzzin has changed things.
But and his salary is less than what Muzzin's is, so they could fit him in. Mm-hmm. But it's the cost. That's what I think the problem is. It's the cost and the fact that even though he can play the right side, he's better on the left side and he's a left shot defenseman, and that's a factor with them. And they would probably have to give up a number 1, a guy like Nick Robertson and a guy like Rasmus Sandin, and I don't think that they would do that deal. So I'm skeptical about whether they're in on Chychrun or not.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean,
So
Good.
Staios' father is Macedonian. So he may not be Greek, but he's not Italian, but he might be somewhere in between.
Yeah,
Macedonian is part of the Aegean, the Aegean.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I have no question in my mind that the Leafs are an on-trick, and it's not just from a source, but it's just from a logic standpoint. Like, and it is due to the Muslim situation too. And it is definitely due to the fact that Toronto, they're playing better. They are getting things together at times. And it's a long season, granted, and they have the goaltending stuff. And Murray had a good game the other night. But there's a long way to go before he proves himself to be the long-term goaltender of the future. But he had a strong game, and he should have a strong game. And he's a good goalie when he's healthy. We all know that,
right? But all I can say is, and it can change in the blink of an eye, in a New York minute.
Yeah,
but
I think.
Right, but right now, Stuart Skinner is the number one in Edmonton.
Again, not necessarily connected to Edmonton.
He's not playing. He hasn't played more games than Campbell yet.
Yeah.
But he's played more recently. Campbell struggled, and they're playing Skinner more.
He's a good young goalie, and he's hot. I mean, of course you're going to play him. I mean, it's not like, and and Campbell's struggling. This is all true. But when it comes down to it, there's something about struggling in October versus when you get to a playoff situation, who are you going to be comfortable with? Campbell's proven he can play in the playoffs. So I think there's a difference there, and you're going to see things go. You're going to see how that plays out. He is. I mean, at the end of the day, right now,
Campbell's proved that he can lose in the playoffs. He hasn't proved that he can win in the playoffs. That's I'm just and I'll say this: I think Campbell is better than Mike Smith or Mikko Koskinen. That's not in question. It's a question of whether Campbell is good enough to win in the playoffs with a team that is compromised defensively, which Edmonton is. They're struggling. Now they don't have the ability to outscore because Evander Kane is out long term. If you shut down McDavid and Draisaitl, which is easier said than done, they have no answers. And defensively,
here's where you're going to lose your argument, Mike. So for Skinner, while he has been in 8 games, is 3-4, and Campbell is 6-4 in his 10 games. And even though you may not like the numbers, the team likes the veteran goalie better.
Numbers with Campbell, numbers with a team like Edmonton or even a team like Toronto are not the big thing. I mean, the big thing with a team like Edmonton or a team like Toronto, which is an offensive team that goes all out, that plays and doesn't play great defense.
If you get average goaltending, you're going to win most games. I get
not average goaltending. You need saves at the this time, and that's where Campbell excels, and that's why they can win.
But not yet. Not yet. Not early.
Again, this is the problem. This is I'm not.
I'm just okay.
We can go political here, but this is not just because we talk about Murray doesn't mean we have to talk about Obama. I mean, we're talking about Murray in and of himself. Okay, not what Obama did wrong, but what Murray is, not what Campbell is. It's and whenever we bring up Murray, we go back to Campbell. That doesn't. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that we're talking about Murray himself.
They're side by side because one replaced the other, and the whole thing is, well, they should have kept Campbell. No, they shouldn't have kept Campbell.
We're not talking about whether they should have kept Campbell. They didn't keep Campbell anymore. That's done. It's over. It's finished. Time will decide that, right? But for now,
the thing is, end of the day, they're winning more with Campbell and net, even though Skinner has better save.
Correct. And so Campbell was a good call by Edmonton. Whether or not it was a good call to let him go by Toronto, time will tell, right? We'll see with that one. Their goaltending has improved with Skinner and Campbell in Edmonton. Let's just
no doubt.
That. Okay, so that's what's going on.
But that's
goaltending improved with Murray.
That's a very low bar.
But regardless, that's not that low because they are. We're not. Skinner
no. What I'm saying is that's a very low bar because Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith were the worst tandem for any playoff team last year. They sucked. They're terrible. And the fact that they now have Stuart Skinner, who they actually should have played last year in the playoffs, they probably would have had more success than Mike Smith, or Skinner and Campbell is a market upgrade on what they had last year. And the question is whether that pairing is good enough for them to win. And I'm saying no, but we'll see.
All right, so that's a market upgrade. So let's just leave that where it is.
Okay, yes.
Is Murray
a
market upgrade for the Maple Leafs?
Yes. He is.
We cannot say that yet.
Yes, I can. I can say it with all consideration. I said this to Russ. The question of whether Matt Murray is better than Jack Campbell is not in question. The question is, can Matt Murray stay healthy? That's the question. Tonight he's playing in his second game with a day off in between. I thought they were going to play Shalgren tonight and give Murray a slow ramp up after he was brought in and played well against Pittsburgh. I think they're risking a little bit here by playing him back-to-back games with a game in between. But I think if they say he's 100%, they're going to go with him, and maybe they'll give him a rest when the Sabres come in on Saturday. That's my only area of concern is right now. Now they're saying he's 100%. So if he's 100%, he's 100%.
How many games has he played this year? Two.
Well,
right. So I think it's okay. I think he can play tonight. It's like, to me, it's like, okay. It's like
you're basing it on previous memory. If you go back, Matt Murray's won 10 games is the most amount of games he's won in the last 3 years.
Right. So let's see where. I mean, they have to see whether or not he can hold up. I mean, they have to see that. They have to see if they can hold up or not, or because they're going to make a trade if he can't, and they're going to figure that out. So that's. I think that playing
Andrew, you're friggin' clueless. I am not an apologist for Dubas. I've been saying Matt Murray.
Mike would have done the same thing as Dubas did here. So
I've been saying Matt Murray for the Leafs for what? 3 years? I was in favor of them trading for him from Pittsburgh. So apologist my you-know-what.
But here's the funny thing. If I said to Mike, hey, your goalie's only got a 3.02 goals against and a 900 save percentage, that's not good.
But that's 2 games.
Okay. 2 games. But you're acting like it's good and it's guaranteed to be good, where even this year's stats aren't good.
Russ, I'm saying that I believe that Matt Murray is a better goaltender than Jack Campbell. Random
Campbell.
No, but yes, we are. Okay, so let's just say, do I think that Matt Murray is an above average NHL goaltender? Yes, I do. Okay, not comparing him to Campbell, just comparing him to.
Okay.
So he's above it. The only question is health. If he's healthy, if he's able to play, I think, last year after they sent him down to Belleville and he came back up, his save percentage was like 917 or 918. And then the one game, the game that ended the season, he gave up 8 goals against Arizona, and that knocked his statistics down. He was playing very well until he got hurt. It's injury. It's all injury. If he's healthy enough, I think they succeed.
We have it on video for it.
Yep. That's what I mean. That and if he's healthy enough, sure, yeah. I mean, if he's healthy enough, he won some Stanley Cups. He's got all that pedigree. But that was a long time ago now. And the question is, that's what we have to see. We have to see whether or not, like, if this was any other situation, I don't know.
And the good news is that Samsonov apparently is about a week to 2 weeks away, so it wasn't a serious knee injury. So when they get both of those goaltenders back, I think you're going to pretty much see a 50-50 split of games, to take some of the pressure off of Murray, and that will work for them. And they have confidence in both goaltenders at that point. Yes. And I think that will be a benefit for the Leafs, because I don't think they should play one over the other too much.
No, I agree. To me, like, I mean, I really do believe that Samsonov will be their goalie. But and I think I like Samsonov, and I think he's a solid goalie. But I like Murray, but whatever, we've talked about this to death. I mean, Kemper, you've ripped Kemper over the years, and he's played way more games than Murray's played.
The only thing I've ripped Kemper on is the fact that he can't stay healthy. And
right, but then why is that? Why is Murray not facing?
I just said I think Murray is an above average goaltender, and is if he stays healthy. They say it's the same thing with Kemper. If Kemper could stay healthy, he's one of the best, maybe 6 or 7 goalies in the league. But he always gets hurt, and now Murray, he could be that. But the injuries are a problem. That's why it's good to have a safety net like Samsonov who can play a stretch. I mean, it was unfortunate that he hurt his knee, because he really hasn't had a history of a lot of injuries in his career. So I'm hoping that once they get both of them back, that they'll divvy up the workload 50-50. Now, just getting back to Chychrun, if I were now, we've heard St. Louis, we've heard Ottawa. there are other teams out there. I mean, Vancouver needs defense, but I haven't heard them in connection with Chychrun. I mean, I think there's probably 6 or 7 teams that are in on him, which will drive the price up. But I don't know whether Arizona is going to get close to what they were supposedly asking for him maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I'm skeptical. I think he's going to have to play a week or two and prove that he's healthy before they make a trade.
Yeah. I think you're right. And here's the thing. They are afraid. I mean, I talked to people out there. They really think that this team is afraid of what him playing a week or two is going to look like because.
Well, then they'll have to take less.
They put so much into him right now.
I think he'll play a game, and I think teams will call right after that game.
I mean, Russ,
I do too. I think if he just plays a little bit, they have to do that.
If they're afraid to play him that he gets re-hurt, then they have to be prepared to take a little bit less.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. But, sticking with your streaking thing, I'm looking at the Bruins, and I'm more and more amazed. Now, look, I picked them for the playoffs, but I thought they would squeak in, right? They're plus 30 on differential. They're the only undefeated team at home. This goes way beyond just us saying that, they're going to, do it one more time and whatever. I think what I've noticed is I think the difference between them and everybody else right now is since McAvoy is back, having McAvoy and Lindholm, nobody really has 2 defensemen like that in the league.
That's 2 number ones.
Yeah.
Really.
Nobody has.
It really is. It really, really is. And
some teams are close, like Colorado's close, but nobody has it like that.
Is there any fear, and they're obviously riding this emotional wave of getting, first of all, getting Krejci back, and then into the season they get Marchand back, and they're getting these perfectly timed emotional waves to keep them going.
And Taylor Hall is playing above.
Yeah,
he's playing where he should be, right? I mean,
And Pasternak is making a salary drive. I mean, he's got 25 points.
And everybody's playing really well. I mean, it's a long season, and I just wonder emotionally how if they'll be able to keep this up.
Oh, there's going to be a lull,
How much of this is on adrenaline?
Yeah, but like I said, I think when you have 2 solid defensemen like that, both really gifted on offense as well, in this league, that's going to help you. It's going to be hard. Like their power play, it's really going to be hard for their power play to go in the tank.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, their power play just looks crazy good, and their goaltending is solid.
I haven't watched them enough to see whether McAvoy's return means that McAvoy's now in the power play and Lindholm isn't, because Lindholm, he's got 17 points in 16.
Right. I don't know either. I just saw the points he's scoring, and I haven't watched the Bruins in about a week, so I don't know for sure.
You would think that they wouldn't mess with the. I mean, okay, the power play is always going to be Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak, Krejci as the sort of the assist guy up top or on the half wall, and either McAvoy or Lindholm. So that number 1 power, you can't get much better. I don't even know where they are in terms of ratings this year, but you can't get much better than that.
I mean, they had the most goals for in the league.
And they have enough. You look at the depth there, the veteran depth that they have up front. After the guys that I just mentioned, Zacha and Coyle, Nick Foligno is playing a little better. They're getting something out of AJ Greer, which I'm stunned at.
The 7th best power play.
Well, what's kind of interesting is when you look at Zacha, Coyle, and Foligno, you talk about those 3 players, right? They're 3 players that are playing roles for them.
Yeah.
And yet these are 3 players that were very, 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 consequential players on teams before this, and they're not that old. So they're talking about they have a situation where their second tier guys are actually lesser first tier guys from other teams.
Well, Zacha was a bargain because
that was always going to be a good move. I said it the day they made it.
Now Tom Fitzgerald is very happy with Haula because Haula is playing like a check.
He's like. It's
just a guy you throw in there. He's happy because his team's finally reaching potential offensively, and they don't miss Zacha. But as far as getting Haula in return for Zacha, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's not a good deal. But they he slotted into what they wanted, and they weren't going to spend the money on Zacha. I don't know if they would have if they would have not qualified him. That would have been stupid. So they got something for him. And I think Hall has only got a year left in his contract, and Zacha only signed a 1-year deal. But he's got 9 points right now, and he's 25 years old. Coyle is 30. I mean, Foligno had a terrible injury-plagued year last year and has sort of bounced back a little bit. He's not the player he was 3 or 4 years ago, but he's still an effective player and a good leader. And, when that whole thing with Mitchell Miller happened in Toronto, who was one of the first guys they went to? Foligno. It was Foligno, Bergeron, Marchand. He's part of the leadership group, even if he hasn't been there a long time.
Right. The other rumor that I was following that is interesting is I wrote about yesterday is Barry Trotz and the possibility of him taking over the general manager job in Nashville next year. And I heard this from a couple people.
Yeah, I can see that possibly happening.
Yeah, whether or not he would take over the GM/coaching job or not is still up for grabs. But if the Predators don't have a great season, I could see him taking over the GM coaching.
Well, that interview that he had a few weeks back, where he said he'd love to coach a original 6 team, which of course started all the talk about Toronto, which I don't buy. It sounds like he wants to do a Scotty Bowman, meaning in Buffalo. At the first couple of years, he was GM and coach.
Yeah, that's what I think could happen. And now his family lives in Nashville still. His daughter's very, very much active in Nashville. He's very close with his daughter. His daughter has a great Instagram account, by the way, if you follow it. She's really good stuff. Mm-hmm. She's an artist. And there's he and Poyle are very tight. Obviously, he was the coach there for a very long time. I don't know this for a fact, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if he and Poyle are talking a lot and having some coffees down there about what's going on with the Predators, because he's obviously keeping himself on top of the league. And I'm sure he's a Predators fan. I'm sure he's watching the Predators. I mean, he would coach that team for a decade, right? So
yeah, he's making $4 million off the Islanders deal. He's hanging back. He's hanging back there. And, he's keeping his options open, but I don't see, if you take him for his word about the original 6 thing, Boston's not an option. Chicago just hired Luke Richardson, so that's not an option. Yzerman and Lalonde in Detroit, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen with the Rangers. Toronto, if Dubas and Keefe get fired after this year, if they don't have some success, then anything is possible, but nothing is going to happen right now.
No, I don't think he wants anything to happen this year. And I think, but I also think the idea was okay, I'll sit around and wait, see if something like that opens up next year. Or, Poyle probably, from what I heard, there may have been some discussions about Poyle saying, listen, we know that Poyle has wanted to move upstairs for a while and take a less of a role.
Right.
Managing. But we've seen guys like Brian Burke or whatever jump up and, have a general manager. So like a co-general manager type thing. Yeah.
He could be team. They can move Boyle if Poyle isn't team president right now. He could basically ascend to team president and then make Trotz the GM.
Right, and I think that and Trotz I know how much he loves Nashville as a city. I know how much he loved coaching there. I got to spend a whole day with him one time down there, and he just he couldn't say enough great things about Nashville. And this is before the Predators were even good at all, when he was just starting out there.
Not going to hurt them. They have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
I think there's some things they need to fix on that team, but his style will help it instantly.
Yeah, and he was a very popular coach. They did get to the point where they wanted to change. The fans definitely had him for a long time, But you bring him back in as a GM/coach, working with other coaches, and then eventually doing a Scotty Bowman thing, I think is very possible, Mike. I think that's right along the lines of where this could head. And it feels a little suspicious, he was all for all these jobs. He was going really hard for all these jobs, and suddenly he wasn't, And it was to me that I don't know, you never can say never, but maybe something was said to him, hey, you're living in Nashville, just hang out till the end of the year. Something could open up here. We could have it,
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think that he's going to take a job this year unless it's an opportunity that he can't pass up, because he's on the last year that, first of all, I think the Islanders have to give clearance for him to get a job. Now, I say that Lou wouldn't do that because that would take them off the hook in terms of paying salary. But, he may just wait until the summer when everybody's reevaluating where their organizations are. And
he was in the league for many, many years in a row, and it's a good thing sometimes to step back from it for a year and just get a different perspective on it. When you're not in it, you can watch it a different way, and you can see how things are growing. You can see, because the game is obviously changing a lot, and you're seeing again, what I feel is the biggest change and and since the last decade or so, 5 years even, is what the Vegas Golden Knights did when they came in. And we've talked about it many times. Playing fast, the idea of playing fast is now taking over. That's what the Devils are succeeding on. That's what the Canadians are still managing to make some headway with, and and that's why the Vegas Golden Knights are back. It's like playing fast just is an amazing. It just makes it so hard to play against, and that's it. Teams that have the right players to do it. Like you're seeing it.
You see it in New Jersey. Jack Hughes is nearly impossible to cover now.
Hughes, Hershier, and the what's his name? The other.
Oh, Bratt.
Yeah, Bratt. Those three just play incredibly fast, and they're very good at it. And they, that combination, with the defense being good at transition and all that stuff, it's making them very, very hard to play against. And it's interesting because it's a new style being incorporated by an old coach, in Lindy Ruff. Like Lindy Ruff is, and there was a lot of talk about Lindy Ruff leaving, but he was definitely, remember, he was on the hot seat, big time.
Yeah. And now the crowd at the Rock was chanting "Sorry, Lindy," because
I mean it was, but it got scary. Even within the organization, they were starting to think maybe this is a dumb bad move. This was not like they were like patient. They weren't getting that patient. I talked to people inside there that the patience was wearing thin, but the players, did step up, and some of the players were calling for Lindy at one point, I think, but. Now the players have stepped up and said, no, this is the guy we wanted. And, talking to people over the years, I do know that for a fact, like certain people will tell you that who played with Lindy Ruff, that he is one of the best coaches they've ever played for. And people really do think that he's one of the smartest hockey guys out there.
Well, there's this thing though, Ek, because Darren Dreger tweeted yesterday about Andrew Burnett, who apparently did talk to teams before he took the Devils job and has an out if there's like an opening that he could leave. And so
Vancouver.
I do have to admit that some of this Lindy magic could be from Burnett. I have to admit that.
Yeah. I think Burnett is an excellent assistant coach. I really do. And I think that whether or not he's a great head coach or not but he has taken you have seen a change in Florida's game, definitely for sure. Yeah. Burnett definitely plays that upbeat style. I mean, this is why the Panthers last year were such an incredible scoring machine. They scored like crazy last year. Mm-hmm. This year they're not doing that, right? But they're trying to make a team that can compete, that can be harder to play against in key situations. So they're working on the Devil. Like I said, we talked about before, the Panthers are definitely working on something.
Just one thing, because you mentioned it a couple days ago in connection with a Karlsson for Bobrovsky deal, with all this Karlsson stuff out there.
Now suddenly, right? I would. Yeah.
What's that?
Suddenly, Karlsson. I mentioned this, like you say, I mentioned it over the weekend, and I was hearing it being mentioned.
Right, and then Elliot Friedman a couple days ago said there's chatter about Karlsson and Ottawa.
Yeah, I heard that too.
The problem is that Ottawa can't make the money work. Because because his even if they retain 50%, he's a $5.75 million cap hit for another 4 years. San Jose would expect to get a lot in return, even though he's being paid 11.5. And I don't think Ottawa is in a position to give up like one of the young guys that they're paying a lot of money to get Karlsson back, because they know Karlsson's going to break down eventually.
Well, that is the big thing, right? With a guy that's been injury prone like that, he is playing. He has had a rebirth for sure. Right. And last year, at the end of the year, he started to see this. Like, this was coming last year, and now it's carried over into this year. When healthy, he's still just an incredible passer. He really is.
He looks great. He looks great.
He really sees the play developing as good as any defenseman in the league. He sees where it's going for sure. Like, he definitely is good at predicting how the play is going to develop in front of him.
Cale Makar, he was the guy who could do that.
Yeah, those two are the guys who do that. And I think Erik Karlsson at half the price is definitely worth some serious things. Like, I think that I still think at this point in his career, like if you get it for 4 years,
maybe he doesn't want to move.
Yeah, he's got a no move clause. So, and I think it's ironclad. So if it is,
no, it is. But does he want to stay in San Jose through a rebuild? That's the I don't know. Like
He might. It's nice out there. He's been to a couple already. You never know.
No, it's beautiful out there for sure. It's a wonderful place to live. It's an expensive place to live, but it's a wonderful place to live. Doesn't matter if you're making his kind
You
of
don't
money.
have to worry about money here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean he's got an ironclad no move clause, no 10-team list.
Right.
He's only going to go if he wants to go, and he probably doesn't want to go.
That's my deal. I don't think
it just depends to me where that is. Where he is. Does he want to go back to Ottawa? I don't know. That's like if it's
he's
Toronto,
not going back to Ottawa,
or if it's a team that has a serious chance of doing something.
If it's Tampa, I think he'd probably want to go.
Colorado, there's certain places that would be really interesting for him. Dallas, even.
Whatever team Mike Hoffman's on, he's not going.
Yeah. That's reasonable.
He's not going to Montreal.
He's not going to Montreal, but he's not going to Montreal anyway. The Rangers. There's certain teams that would be interesting to see what he could do, because if he's going to a cup contender, he'd have to think about it. But I don't think he just goes to Ottawa because he's played there before and likes it there.
No, I don't think he would go there.
I don't think there's enough there to go there. LA, be an interesting place for him to go. But would San Jose do that? Would San Jose move him to LA?
No.
I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, you got to think. Okay, you can eat the $5.7 million with the cap going up, and you're in a rebuilding phase. You're not going to be that close to the cap. You're going to be all right. So, I think you can eat half the salary. So, I do think he'll get traded. I think he will get moved if it has to be to a team that he wants to go to, like you say.
Yeah, I'm 75-25. He doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say this: he's going to have to stay healthy all this year up to the deadline to make teams say, I'm willing to take the chance. Because if he's out after that, you put him on LTIR and there are teams that will be able to absorb that. But if they're making that trade, that's why I said a team like Tampa, because the team like Tampa can make things. If all of a sudden they get San Jose to retain 50%, and trade somebody of value to San Jose, then a team like Tampa. Now Tampa doesn't have a ton of prospects left, because they've traded most of them and draft picks in other deals, but so is Florida. And that's the thing. I don't think that they want to take back a Bobrovsky in a deal with Florida. They want, they probably want Anton Lindell or prospects like that. So, but yeah, I mean, if a team is on the cusp and all they need is a number one defenseman, that's Erik Karlsson. I mean, I don't think Toronto can do it.
See, but the thing is, we're talking contenders now, and he's got 3 more years on his deal.
4 more.
4 more. So
it's got to be a team that's still on the rise. It's got to be a team.
But even if you're eating, I don't even think San Jose wants to eat half on 4 years. Honestly, I don't think so.
Right. They are. Well, what did they do with Brent Burns? Brent Burns has 2 more years left, and they ate only, I think, 30%. It was $2.7 million. So they'll probably be willing to take a salary back and retain some,
right?
Not retain 50.
Yeah.
Because retaining 50 is that's a top 6 forward in terms of salary for 4 more years.
Yeah.
That really, Anthony asks Washington. That's a horrible place for them to go, because they're heading on the way down, and the last thing they need is another big contract, even at 30% less.
Yeah, but what he's probably looking at, and I'm pretty sure I heard about this, is that Washington after this year, all their defensemen are UFAs, except for I think Karlsson. Yeah, Karlsson's got 3 more years. Jensen, Van Riemsdyk, Gustafsson, Irwin, all UFAs. So
not Orlov.
Not a great group either. Yeah,
not a great group. Well,
but you're saying Orlov isn't one of them.
No, Orlov's a UFA too.
Oh, okay. I mean, again, they're not going to be. Listen, this is the last time the Caps are going to make a run. I think next year is going to be trouble for them.
Yeah, but somebody made the point that they will not go into a rebuild while Ovechkin is there.
No, I get it. They're going to try, but I'm just saying they're going down already. They probably don't make it this year, but because they're right on the cusp. Mm-hmm. So now you have all these UFA defensemen. The cap goes up a little bit. Where are they getting all these defensemen? They're not, and that's the problem.
Yeah, they're going to have to pick up a lot of. I mean, there's after this year, they're doing a rebuild whether they want to or not. I mean, to be honest,
it's a bad job by McClellan.
They only have 3 or 4 guys left on contracts, so it's
it's a good job getting from under, but it's a bad job retaining enough talent. I would have had at least Orlov signed the same way I had Karlsson, so I have that intact
And I think you can see that over the course of the year. I think you will see them get a couple of those guys signed because it's just way too dangerous to go off season with Ovechkin, especially when you got a guy like Ovechkin.
Everybody's price goes up the minute they walk out your door. Even if you get them back, everybody's price goes up.
Right, much easier to retain them. So because players are creatures of habit and they do want to stay. Even for bad teams, they'll stay there before they'll sign someplace else.
I'm shocked that Orlov's a UFA. I didn't realize that. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
he's hurt right now, but he's a UFA at the end of this year.
The Devils and Erik Karlsson, that's an interesting one. I don't
think they need him. They
don't really need him. But the Devils have a propensity to do that kind of a thing. They have tried so hard. I mean, think about all the things they've tried to do where they are now. It's really funny. All the players they've missed out on signing, like Gaudreau, for example, is a good example, right? They're sitting there at the top of the division in Columbus.
But him and Hamilton would be fighting for the same job. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. They're not. They wouldn't be on the same pair. They're both right-hand shots, so they can't be.
I know.
There's only so much puck to go around,
Who are you going to make the main power play guy, Mike? Hamilton or Karlsson?
Hamilton.
Then he's not going to come.
Yeah.
Erik Karlsson
I don't think it's a good fit. Now
second fiddle.
I agreed. And I will follow this. If San Jose retained 50% with Muzzin likely out the rest of this year and next year, the Leafs could fit Karlsson in. But they, again, retain 50%, and they'd probably have to give up a similar package to what they would have to give up to get Chychrun. I would rather have Chychrun because he's 24, and the injury questions on both are similar. If you're going to ask me to choose between a 25-year-old Chychrun and a 32-year-old Erik Karlsson, even though Erik Karlsson is a much better defenseman, has won 2 Norris trophies, I would take Chychrun. I don't know what Kyle would take.
Riley, are you going to take Riley off the top power play and give it to Karlsson?
No, I would.
He's not going to come.
You'd have to if you did that. You'd have to.
Yeah, he's not going to go then.
I mean, Toronto's
that would be good for Riley, honestly.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be bad for Riley because he really is a guy that can play different roles. But if Karlsson comes in, you're saying, "Hey, Eric, you're on second power play," he's going to be like,
that's not going to happen. But I think if you look at Karlsson and Chychrun and what they both bring, with Toronto being definitely in a now is our time win mode, I think Karlsson definitely becomes a tempting.
But this is the stupid stuff, because I'm not saying, Tony, you're stupid, but I'm just saying people are saying this because the salaries are similar. That doesn't help the Leafs. That doesn't, you're talking about a guy who was a first NHL All-Star right winger last year and trading him for a defenseman who has had trouble staying healthy. You want to get Karlsson and keep Marner, and the only way you do that is San Jose retaining 50% of the salary. To
be very honest, the San Jose would be laughing if they could make that deal.
Right. They want to get out of the Karlsson deal so badly they can taste it.
They would do that quickly.
All of a sudden they had Marner and Eklund and Timo Meier.
That's not happening. But
no.
But I'm telling you, I do buy into the fact that this is Mike Greer's opportunity.
Yeah.
He's got a window. He knows he's in cap jail. We've documented it with Couture, and they want to re-sign Meyer probably, but with Couture and Karlsson and Vlasic, they're in cap jail. The only way that they can start their rebuild and sort of get on that track is to get rid of some of these big money contracts. And if they can get rid of Karlsson right now while he's hot, strike while the iron's hot, baby.
Yeah. Somebody brought up Calgary in the chat too.
Calgary's got enough trouble, and I think Karlsson would drive Suter.
Calgary with Daryl Sutter with Karlsson?
No, you're driving crazy.
Pull his hair out.
No, remember, Karlsson needs the puck a lot. And he needs to be the guy. So it's he's going to carry the puck. Wherever he goes, he's going to. When he's on the ice, he carries the puck up. That's what he does, right? So he's going to do that. So it's going to be a problem. That's all the time we have for today, folks. We will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you my statistics. Kevin will be back tomorrow. I'm going to give you my stats on this 30 points in 20 games thing. It really is fascinating. The difference between if you get 30 points in your first 20 games or 27 or 25 points in your first 20 games. what your fate is. That's really, I did a lot of work with that statistically. So you'll enjoy it tomorrow. That'll be back tomorrow. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you all tomorrow.